consecutive year. We'll give you the men's score in a moment, but you'll tell you that Oregon has also won that. Speaking of that, the Ducks hold the meet and the conference record in the 4x400 meter relay. This has been a timed final, so right now the time to beat is 3:38.88, and USC will start things off with Kendall Ellis.
USC going with their strongest legs in their first and fourth leg. Kendall Ellis, we saw her in the 400 meter earlier. She looked very strong first 300 meters of that race. Finally faded a little bit and got caught by the crowd, but their anchor, Jaide Stepter, looking so strong in the 400 meter hurdles. Look for USC to finish things strongly in this race.
Stanford has a very, very good team, led by anchor leg Olivia Baker. Of course, Baker won that 400 over Kendall Ellis. Also on this team is Claudia Saunders, who was fourth in the 800, and Kristen Williams is not going to be running a leg, unfortunately, for Stanford, but Michelle Prunkleton, Wilson, and Gabrielle Gales will be the other two legs for the Cardinal.
We should point out that the Oregon women are a scratch. They have already clinched the title. No reason to put out an extra effort. So it'll be Colorado in 2, Arizona in 3, USC in 4. 5 will be open. And again, this is a 2-turn stagger. So the first 400 meters, the athletes will stay in their lanes around the next turn, and then they will move to the inside. Stanford will start in lane 6, and Washington State will start in lane 7.
We've actually been told it's a 3-turn stagger here.
I misspoke. That's correct. It's a 3-turn stagger. I misspoke.
As long as the athletes know, that's all that matters.
That's more important.
On the track,
but thank you for that clarification. Absolutely right. 3-turn stagger. And again, to the point that the opener of the 400 meters will stay in their own lane all the way around, and then the second leg will stay in their lane through the top of the next turn. Underway, 4x400 meter relay.
There's usually a lot of strategy in having one of your 2 strongest runners lead off, because for whatever reason in the 4x4, well, actually the reason I can tell you is you want to be ahead of all the traffic when it comes time for the handoff. So you want to get off to a really good start so that second exchange you have from the second to third runner, you're not having to navigate a lot of traffic. Plus, it gives your runners in those positions more confidence as they get set to close out the race.
And Gabrielle Gales of Stanford moving very, very well. She finished 5th in the open 400, and that's a good leg for Stanford to have leading off.
Kendall Ellis leading things off for USC. She will hand off to Cameron Pettigrew for Arizona. It's Gia Trevisan, and it is going to be USC leading, followed by Stanford, followed by Washington State. And here is Cameron Pettigrew on the second leg for USC.
And that was 54.7 for Gales and 53.4 for Kendall Ellis.
And keep an eye on the handoffs. Usually there's so much emphasis on the handoffs in a 4x1. Well, a 4x4 it matters as well too. You don't want to be at a complete standstill when you get that baton. You do want to have some momentum. That's where you're going to save a quarter of a second here, a half of a second there. All the tiny little details add up in this race.
USC followed by Stanford. This is about 150 meters to go in the second leg. Washington State there, Arizona, and then Colorado.
Prunkleton Wilson's doing a nice job here on the second leg for Stanford, but by the same token, Cameron Pettigrew starting to pull away down the stretch here.
It's going to be Dina Hill running the third leg for USC. For Stanford, it will be Claudia Saunders. And USC now with a 15-meter lead as we begin the third leg of this 4x4.
53.7 for Pettigrew, 54.3 for Prunkleton Wilson.
Oh, commanding lead now for USC, and right now Dina Hill looking very, very comfortable down the back stretch. Colorado making a move here with Rajan O'Quinn.
And Deanna Hill is a 100-200 runner, so she went out very fast, but she may have gone out too fast here. I think we may see some movement on her down the stretch here.
Dina Hill, as mentioned, had about a 15-meter lead right at the start of the third leg, but has given up a lot of that, and the pack is returning as we come up to the anchor leg with Dina Hill looking stronger down the home stretch here as she hands off to the anchor leg for Jaide Stepter.
And keep an eye on all the traffic here, because a lot of times these second, third place teams, they're having to run outside of lane 1 because the other teams that hand the baton off don't get off the track quick enough.
55.4 for Claudia Saunders, 55 flat for Deanna Hill.
Olivia Baker, who won the 400 meters right at the tape, is currently in second place. So it's USC followed by Stanford, Arizona moving up. Colorado, they made a move in the third leg, but they have dropped off.
And I'm sorry, Paul, that's Sage Watson from Arizona, who has just made that move in his third, the great 400 hurdler.
So USC in the lead, and with about, right now, 110 meters to go. They are in control of this contest. USC followed by Stanford, Arizona, Washington State, and Colorado. So USC is going to win the 4x400. They're the conference champions across the line in 3:34.14. Stanford in second, Arizona in third.
52-1 was the anchor leg there for Jaide Stepter. Very, very nice performance. And there's Charles Smith-Gilbert, the USC head coach. Pretty pleased.
With USC, they just did a wonderful job, as we mentioned, putting their two strongest runners at the front and at the end. They're able to get off to a great start and close things out stronger.
Well, a solid performance, and no surprise, once again, the Oregon women have already wrapped up the conference championship. So the USC Trojans, the champions in the 4x400 on the women's side, 3:34.14. Final contest of this championship. Winner return on the Pac-12 network. Same event on the men's side, 4x4.
How many gasoline